Alright, let's just jump right in. We're all trying to live a better life, right? But what if we're all going about it the wrong way? What if the whole secret isn't about getting rid of our problems, but actually finding better ones? Today we're going to mesh up the really bold philosophy of Mark Manson with the super practical methods of Scott H. Young. The goal? To build a framework for choosing and then actually mastering the struggles that make life feel meaningful. This quote from Mark Manson: "Man, it gets right to the core of everything." Just think about that for a second. The more you desperately chase feeling good, the more you notice all the ways you don't, which of course just makes you feel worse. It's a total paradox, but it explains so much of that feeling of being stuck. The real move is to just flip the whole thing on its head, to actually get comfortable with the fact that it's okay not to be okay all the time. And that leads us straight into what Manson calls the feedback loop from hell. You know the one. You feel a little anxious, and then you immediately start feeling anxious about being anxious. Or you feel sad, and then you get mad at yourself for feeling sad. You open up Instagram, scroll past 100 pictures of people on amazing vacations, and your first thought is, ugh, what is wrong with me? This isn't some personal defect, it's a cultural trap, and pretty much all of us have fallen into it. So this brings us to the first really big idea here, the happiness trap. How is it possible that this constant, relentless search for happiness is the very thing that's making us miserable? Let's break it down. You know, for most of human history, our problems are pretty straightforward. Find food, build shelter, try not to get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. But today, we can have groceries delivered to our door in an hour, and yet anxiety levels are through the roof. Why? Well, because when you have endless options, you also have endless ways to feel like you're failing or falling behind. Our crisis isn't about not having enough stuff. It's about not having a clear sense of what we should even care about. And here is the absolute key point. Happiness isn't some destination you just arrive at one day. It's not a prize you get for being good. It's an activity. It's the feeling you get from actively working on and solving meaningful problems. See, problems never actually go away. They just get traded up for better ones. So the real goal isn't a life with zero problems. It's a life filled with good problems. Okay, so if a good life is all about the problems we solve, that leads us to the most important question we could possibly ask ourselves. What pain do I actually want in my life? What struggle is worth it for me? It's time to choose. Now this sounds completely backwards, doesn't it? Don't try. I mean what? This is what's literally written on the tombstone of the writer Charles Bukowski, and it perfectly sums up this idea of radical self-acceptance that you need before you can choose a worthwhile struggle. His story is the perfect example. For literally decades, Charles Bukowski was, in his own words, a drunk, a womanizer, a total loser. He didn't find success by suddenly trying to become a winner. No way. He found success because he was just brutally, unflinchingly honest about all his failures. He knew exactly who he was, he accepted it, and he just didn't care what anyone else thought. His success wasn't in spite of his identity, it was a direct result of it. And that just shows the first step is always accepting who you are, warts and all. See, Bukowski valued raw, honest self-expression way more than he valued conventional success. And that choice defined his entire struggle. And it's the exact same for all of us. The things you decide to care about, those are your values, and they literally create the problems you face every single day. If your number one value is just pleasure, you're gonna constantly struggle with feeling empty, but if you choose better values, you get better problems, and that's how you get a better life. This is such a great story. You got two musicians with almost the same experience, but wildly different outcomes. First, Dave Mustaine, he gets kicked out of Metallica, so he goes and forms Megadeth, which sells millions of albums. A huge success by any measure, but because his core value was be more successful than Metallica, he spent his whole life feeling like a failure. Now, On the other side, you've got Pete Best. He got kicked out of the Beatles right before they became the biggest band on earth. After a tough time, he chose a new value, having a happy, stable family life, and by his own account, he found a level of contentment that many rock stars never do. Same event, different values, completely different lives. Okay, so you've done the hard work, you've looked inward, you've figured out your values, and you've picked a meaningful struggle. Awesome. But now what? How do you actually get good at it? How do you solve that problem without just spinning your wheels? This is where Mark Manson's philosophy gets a turbo boost from Scott H. Young's practical strategy. Scott Young's big idea for getting good at anything is something he calls directness. It's so simple, but it is a profoundly powerful way to approach any challenge you've decided to take on. I love this quote from Leonardo da Vinci because it just nails the whole idea. If you can go straight to the fountain, why would you bother with the water jar? In other words, if you want to learn Spanish, stop just tapping on an app and go have a real awkward conversation. If you want to be a writer, stop reading books about writing and just write. Go straight to the real thing. So often we get stuck in what you call indirect learning. We watch YouTube tutorials, we read a bunch of articles, we buy the online course, and it feels like we're making progress, but it's safe, it's comfortable, because there's no real risk of looking stupid. Direct learning is the total opposite. It's active, it's messy, and yeah, it's uncomfortable because you're doing the actual thing, usually before you feel ready. It's the difference between learning about coding and actually building an app. Let me give you a perfect real-world example. This guy, Vatsal Jaiswal, spent 4 years getting an architecture degree. He had the diploma, the formal education. I mean the ultimate water jar approach, but when he graduated, he couldn't get a single job offer. Nothing. So what did he do? He stopped blasting out his resume and instead he just started a small project for himself. He created the exact kind of technical drawings that architecture firms need every single day. He practiced the skill directly. And that little portfolio of work, it wasn't just proof that he knew things. It was proof that he could do things. It showed he could deliver. And that direct proof did what 4 years of college couldn't. It got him in the door for an interview. Alright, so now let's put these two big ideas together. Let's see how Manson's philosophy on choosing your struggle combines with Young's method of directness to create one unified playbook for building a better life on purpose. So here is how it all clicks into place. Mark Manson gives us the why. The goal is choose better problems, and the method is to define your core values. Scott Young gives us the how. The goal is to solve those problems, and the method is direct practice. But the really cool part is how they feed into each other. When you tackle your problem directly, you don't just get better at it. You get real-world feedback that helps you understand your values even more, which then helps you choose even better problems next time. It's a powerful loop. So really, it boils down to this simple, repeatable cycle. Step 1, you choose your struggle. You look at your values, and you decide what problem is so important to you that the effort is worth it. And step 2, you master that struggle. You stop just learning about it, and you start doing it. And by doing that, you build the confidence and the clarity to choose your next even better struggle. So the final takeaway here is a total reframing of what a good life even means. It's not about finally reaching some state of perfect happiness where all your problems disappear. A truly fulfilling life is one that is filled with good problems, problems that actually matter to you, and having the confidence that you are equipped to take them on. And that leaves us with one last question, and it's not for me, it's for you. Seriously, think about it for a second. Based on what really truly matters to you, what is the one struggle that you're willing to choose, and how can you start tackling it directly today?